So, good morning, everyone. Somebody requested for a topic which is related with the banking, but it's a part of economics also. And the topic was the festive season has started, and we have seen that the appliance market and the automobile sector, they bring lot of plans, they launch new products in the market. And therefore, one very important aspect of banking finance, which is very popular, and that is consumer finance. Hope many of you have seen zero EMI payment. And when I talk about these things, it has a direct impact on the macroeconomic environment. I got a lead from a headlines which I have seen 2 days before in the Economic Times, that the RBI has increased the repo rate. I remember that it was around 2 years back. There was a lot of discussion, and many of us, they are aware that in India, RBI controls this whole banking operations. And actually, MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, that takes decision about fixing these rates. So there was one theory, and theory was that the banking business can be improved, can be grown only when repo rate is less. And based on this theory, RBI was regularly decreasing the repo rate. I was reading paper and immediately I found that it is wrong. And then I recalled very interesting theory of liquidity preference theory. I will discuss this in a detail. But I think many of you, they remember that Professor Keynes said about liquidity trap. And when I say liquidity trap, he explained very well that the rate of interest should not go beyond certain limit. If it goes beyond limit, then people will never depart their money. People sacrifice the liquidity for a compensation. And the same happens here. People must understand, especially for a banking sector, the assets for banks will be created out of deposits. And the deposits will be supported only when the rate of interest is significant or sufficient or reasonable. Now, we have seen this decline when the deposits, especially when I talk about the fixed deposits, they have declined because the people, especially pensioners, they have started withdrawing their money from the banking sector, and they shifted that money, they parked money in a different other investment options. So what happened? There is a shortage of business funds, I should say. And therefore, the dependency of the whole banking operations was very high on the repo, or we say repo assets. But fundamentally, if you will see, this model was wrong. And then I oppose this thing, I put it few words on that. That the banking business will grow when the RBI and whole banking system will understand that repo will provide a support system. Foundation is only deposits. Foundation will never be created by repo. In recent news which I have seen about repo, the RBI has increased the repo. We have seen the market. Yes, there may be short-term impact. But as I already said, macroeconomics is very complex. Sometimes the government, the RBI has to control inflation. In economics, we say price stability. But at the same time, we also see the market and the investment. So what is happening today's environment? That when the availability of loan is, you can say, easy for the consumer because of the festive season. So there are two factors. One, easy availability of loan. Number two, the festive season. And the third, that is also important, growing share of e-commerce business. So when we see all these three factors, then we find there is a growth in the consumer durables. And another important thing, if you have seen, that many organizations, they keep their bonus arrears for this festive season, because they also understand that the most of the appliances which are purchased by the middle class family, they plan their investment, they plan their funding from the arrear, not from a regular salary. Because when they make this budget, they never make this budget for high class or better products, which is little beyond from their normal budget, from their regular salary. Now, for a salaried class, it is another opportunity to understand that they should not come in a consumer debt trap. So when I say consumer debt trap means what? Though the consumer finance is available very easily, no doubt at all. But at the same time, it will increase your ability to pay. Does not increase your capacity. So when we take loan, especially consumer loan, a word of caution to all consumers, especially middle class from my side, that make a plan and be very conservative, because nobody else will pay the EMI, you have to pay the EMI. And please remember, EMI has a component of interest and principal amount. And therefore, if you purchase more than your requirement, what will happen? The same economic principle will apply on you. That a middle class consumer especially, they went in a debt trap, and many times it happens because of the credit card, because of this credit facility. Many of us, we are not able to take a right decision because there are a lot of reasons of attractions. New technology is coming, new design is coming. So my topic, my purpose of this discussion was very simple. That when it comes on a EMI, the market is growing, the production is growing, the appliance market is growing, automobile sector is growing. But at the same time, as a consumer, as a household, we must understand this thing, that consumption plus saving is a very important aspect. In economics, we say macro is what? It's a summation of micro. Means whatever we are doing at a individual level, when we take it as an aggregate, we will find the total value. So if you remember, we discussed in the last class, y equals to c plus I plus g. So if we have to increase the national income, definitely the consumption should increase, the investment should increase, the government expenditure should increase. But at the same time, if we are increasing consumption because of the consumer finance, easy availability of consumer finance, then there is another danger. And the danger is that the amount of NPA, non-performing asset, will increase. And therefore, if banks are burdened with non-performing assets, then what will happen? It will discourage new investment, because the availability of funds will be reduced for the banks, and it will definitely hamper the investment. And in the same equation, when we said consumption has increased but the investment has decreased, has a higher impact on the national income. So my message on the question which I received from one of my friends, and he said that please answer what we should do, because there are a lot of options, offers. Every company, whether it is Amazon, Paytm, Flipkart, any company, whether it is a payment company, whether it is a bank, whether it is a producer, everyone is giving offer. And it's a very critical situation at home, what we should do. Because people are not, family members are not saying that we are spending that much. They are saying we are saving that much. So it looks definitely saving, no doubt 30%, 40%, 50%. But at the same time, when we do this kind of activity, especially financial decision, my submission is that we must make our annual budget. And our financial liability should not go beyond annual budget, and always be very conservative that one must have few amount or some amount, we say contingency. We should never accept that everything will go well. So in life, there may be some accident, there may be some chances, there may be some unfortunate events also. Nobody said that it will happen. But if it happened, what is our preparation? And therefore, we must remember that when we invest in our consumer assets, consumer durables, we also must invest in the insurance. So we must have a balance between physical assets and financial assets. When we have this, definitely there will be balance between consumption, saving and investment, and then it will be wealthy and wise life of a individual. So when we'll meet in the next class, I will definitely take the question. The way I received this question, I thought I should address this immediately so that people should feel free to ask questions. Because I am not addressing only students who are registered in my course. Anyone who is watching my video has any fundamental question which can disturb their economic affairs, feel free to ask question. Write me an email, WhatsApp, whatever you can do. So that most of us, we should learn together and get the benefit of this wisdom. With this, I am ending this session. Thank you.